Newest additions to the film room. Not bad for dollar store finds, eh? So I'd show those off. Like what I did there? Huh? Huh? Episode 14 of Trev's trade page here on Trev TV. Yeah, I know, another trade page video. I'm Trev. You know that. If you're tuning in, if you're watching, that's too sweet. Anyway, so Trev did something today he hasn't done in about 4 years. He did an online trade. You remember those hockey cards that I busted not even a week ago? Some of them are in here. Some of them are on my trade page, which I will provide a link for. Yes, I have a trade page. It's nothing special. There's not a lot on it, considering I am building this collection again from scratch. And so I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to at least give you a background story as to my time in the hobby, how long I've been in it, what all I've collected, yada yada yada, all that fun stuff. So, having said all that, let's get right down to it. So my introduction into the hobby came in 1988. Just out of curiosity. I was young, dumb, full of cum. The school I was going to at the time, there was a lot of kids who were buying hockey cards. And of course, me being not even a hockey fan for 2 years, I thought those were the greatest things I ever did see. And that was from the 87-88 O-Pee-Chee set. I didn't buy those ones. I waited until 88-89 before I started buying my own hockey cards with my allowance and whatever happened, whatever money I happened to steal and whatever else. Anyway, not a lot of guys can remember their first hockey card. I can. It's this one. And I know it sounds terribly, how do I put it, superstitious. I always opened and looked from the back because at the time in 1988, O-Pee-Chee used to do this thing where they put a stick of gum in front, which I absolutely did not like. Even then, I didn't like it. I thought it just ruined the card in front because that little stick of gum literally stuck to the card. So you lost one card right off the bat. So I opened it back first, saw the back, this is Wayne Gretzky. It's like, oh hey, that's pretty damn cool. My first card was a Gretzky. So I would just go to the store, buy packs here, packs there, This is all before internet, keep in mind. So whatever the store happened to have, whether it was O-Pee-Chee or Topps, those were your options. Then the 90s came, and oh my goodness. Ask anybody in the hobby about 90s cards, and they'll just look at you like, oh. And it's true, a lot of 90s cards, once your Pro Sets, your Scores, your Bowmans started coming out, it changed the landscape for sure. You still had O-Pee-Chee, you still had Topps, but it was a little more variety. But as you got on in the years, all these cards from the early 90s weren't even worth the paper they were printed on, or the cardboard, if you want. So as the years went on, as your variety got a lot more optional, and the packs started costing a little more, you'd explore it. And I mean, again, this is before internet. So if you wanted to trade with somebody, you had to know somebody or know somebody who knew somebody who wanted to trade. So there was a lot of trade nights. There was a lot of random pop by, visit, and trade. And Beckett price guides had only come out in 91, I want to say. I wasn't introduced to Beckett price guides till at least 93, 94. So from when I started collecting in 88 to about 93, I probably lost out big time on a lot of trades. But again, 94, 95-ish, you started getting more variety. You had your Leaf, you had your Premier, Parkhurst, Upper Deck started coming up in 1990, but they became bigger, and they introduced more sets as time went on. But a thing happened: serial numbering, and this changed the value of hockey cards, as far as I'm concerned, forever. Because you didn't have to worry about so many cards being overprinted and priced for a nickel. With serial numbering now, cards had dollar value. I mean, granted, a lot of your vintage cards had high dollar value, but a lot of those high value cards that were vintage were subject to being reprints or forgeries. So you really had to watch when you had a Wayne Gretzky rookie, a Mark Messier rookie, a Mario Lemieux rookie, even a Brett Hull rookie, for counterfeits. And that really sucked. So again, before I discovered internet and online trading, this takes us up to about 96, 97, when I just stopped buying. For no real good reason. I just stopped. I mean, a lot of it was I was just learning a bunch of different things. Guitar was hot for me at the time. I'd gotten into marijuana at the time. There were other interests, and hockey cards were not one of them. It was about 98, 99, went to the local Zellers and saw a box of Tops. Nothing special, nothing flashy, Tops. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to buy a box of hockey cards. And the itch came right back. Harder than ever. So from 99 to, I want to say 2001, when life dealt me a circumstance I wasn't ready to deal with, that I was buying hockey cards regularly. And of course, a lot of hockey card shows were popping up at Mall A or Mall B. They weren't called Mall A or Mall B. I mean, Mall A could be Abbotsfield Mall, and then Mall B, I think, was Londonderry, because there was a lot of cards shows at Londonderry as well at the time. These are all malls in Edmonton. So I was buying commons, I was buying inserts, bought my first jersey card from one of the card tables. And yeah, in 2001, I pretty much had to stop. Not because I was running out of money or I was getting too hard into them, but because, again, a life circumstance made me had to stop. And whether I wanted to or not, I was taking a break. So by 2003, I've taken 2 breaks in the hobby. But in 2003, I discovered Beckett Online. And this was before you needed a subscription to see the actual worth of hockey cards. Because you could do it freely at the time. And I went through all my cards, which were one of those big Rubbermaid containers, full, plus about 4 binders. And I would say I easily had 100,000 cards at the time. And after I went through them all and checked them all for condition, because then condition mattered. Because not only did I learn about Beckett Online, but I also learned about the trading community online. And yeah, condition mattered. So that $100,000 card, or 100,000 cards collection, went from that to about 15,000. Yeah. Anything that had the slightest ding or a crease or anything like that, a lot of my vintage cards that weren't big names, that were fuzzy, were gone. In the garbage. See you later. And through online trading, I had this awesome idea. Like, hey, I was working on so many sets as a kid. Let's work on them again. So that 10,000 card collection went right back up. Not to 100,000, probably more like 50,000. But it was all sets. And the worst thing I thought that could have happened at the time was A, being a set collector, and B, learning about what a PC or personal collection was. And it's like, okay, if I'm going to personal collect somebody, it's going to be the guy that was my first card, Wayne Gretzky. Now, the thing I also forgot to realize is Wayne Gretzky, at least his cards, are in the top 1%. Everybody wants Gretzky, and everybody wants the bells and whistles Gretzky, because base cards and inserts are just not enough anymore. Now that you got jersey cards, patch cards, autos, low print, you know, it's like I got anyway a crash course in how the hobby had evolved in less than a month. From 2001, when I only thought jersey cards were few and far between, to how common they were and what exactly kind of designs they were having, and then patch cards, and then patch autos, and then autos, and then super short print patch autos. Oh my goodness. But I had fun learning about it. I had fun doing the online trading, and then it became a staple of everything I was doing. Life did not exist without online trading. This brings us up to 2004, the lockout. Now, I had already sat through the player strike in the 90s, and the lockout in 94, 95, which was only half a season gone. But the 04, 05 lockout, I made the conscious decision that I was going to collect something else. And that moved to football cards. Hockey cards were on the back burner. And the football cards didn't last long at all. I had no fun doing football cards. It's like, okay, well, maybe I just need another break. So, 98, 16 years, I'm on my third break. And I probably needed it. Again, because going from 15,000 to 50,000 hockey cards in a matter of months, in a time span of months, you probably needed the break. I mean, I was spending a lot of money on postage, on supplies, on bubble mailers, sometimes tracking numbers. A lot of money. So the break was necessary. But as soon as the lockout was over, business picked back up. Of course, with the 05-06 season, you started seeing, well, even before then, I think Ultimate came out in the early 2000s, but with 05-06, you saw the Cup. And this was the first time anybody, not just myself, anybody, saw one pack of hockey cards go for over $500. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, it's a tin, not a pack. No, it's a pack. Every card in that tin equates to the pack. But I knew I was already spending enough on everything else. I didn't need to spend that kind of money on the Cup. And I could probably just trade for it anyway. But then I decided, set building is not for me. I'm just going to stop set building. Or at least try to anyway. I'll finish up the sets I got, if I can, and start working on just player collecting. Of course, Ovechkin was the hot topic in 05-06. Malkin came after that. I was wanting to collect Ilya Kovalchuk, because even then, Russians were a big thing for me. This brings us, from 05-06 all the way up to 2009, when Beckett changed their subscription services, and of course now you needed a subscription and to pay for online pricing. So instead of taking a break then, I found other avenues. And that's when I was introduced to Canadian Sports Card Traders and Sports Card Forum, as well as a few different groups on Facebook. So now I was spending more money on trading and more money on cards and going through the circuit of eBay to help put trade bait on my trade page, and it worked. And for 2008, 2009, 2010, it was trade, 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 trade. If I took a week off work for a holiday, that week was just trading from the moment I woke up to the moment I fell asleep. And if trades didn't happen that day, that's okay. We'll make trades happen the next day. I can recall a vacation from work where every day for 5 days, at least 3 trades, sometimes more, but it was never less than 3. So I was very hard into it. So now we're up to 2011, and life handed me another circumstance that I wasn't ready to deal with. And it didn't mean me taking a break. It meant me abandoning every card I'd worked for years. Abandoned. Gone. Like, I walked away. Well, I didn't walk away, but the situation I was in, the best thing for me to do was to leave them behind. And I left behind a lot of nice cards. I mean, it was around that time I had started, my Ovechkin collection was big. It wasn't huge. It was big. But the Varlamov collection was the baby. I left that. There were no 101s, thankfully, in that Varlamov or Ovechkin collection. So getting everything back was easy. But it was the first time I had to rebuild the page from scratch with nothing. I had to go out, buy more cards, put more bait on there, go through the eBay rounds again to keep getting more trade bait in to make more trades happen. And you could look at it from 2 angles. Yes, it sucked that I had to abandon the cards, but 2, I had so much fun rebuilding it from nothing. I left a well over 75,000 card collection and built it one by one. Of course, I bought a couple boxes that, helped the process along, but I didn't get back up to 75,000. I have not seen that number in my possession since. And that's okay, because a lot of it was base cards. A lot of teams had 300 base cards to them. A lot of it was inserts that were never going to move. A lot of it was a player that I was collecting for somebody else at the time that nobody else was collecting. Tommy Salo. But I also had the Ovechkins, the Varlamovs. I had Kovalchuks. I was collecting Malkins. So, there was a lot of nice player collections that I had abandoned, but again, the rebuilding process was fun. It was around this time as well I started taking on apprentices. And what I mean by that is people who were curious about the hobby, instead of me being snotty like the kids that were in elementary, saying, "Oh, what are you looking at? I welcomed them with open arms, like, "Hey, let me educate you." So from 88, 98, 2008, it took me 23 years to be a teacher and teach somebody else the hobby, and somebody else the hobby, and somebody else the hobby. To date, I've apprenticed 7 people, and they've all done well with their own collections, as far as I know anyway. 4 of them I don't even know, but 3, yeah, have done really well with their collections. So the rebuilding process and restarting the Varlamov collection, restarting the Ovechkin collection that I had assembled and broken up and assembled and broken up so many times, it was going really good. Really, really, really good. But it was around this time, around 2013, 2014, I was starting to feel the burn. Going that hard for that long, I was burning out. I was ready to retire. But it took a different type of life circumstance for that to happen. 2015 was when, up until today, I had made my last online trade. I forget who it was with. I forget what it was for. It was probably for Varlamovs. But I was done trading at that point. Now I was more focused on selling. And initially, I was just selling off my traders and stuff that I was sitting on that wasn't Varlamov or Ovechkin or anything like that. And those didn't really happen. They didn't go so well. I mean, I sold, but not a lot. And not for big money. It wasn't until 2016 when we found out that, okay, now we're going to be parents. Now we have a baby to provide for, and we need more money than I am making. That's when I opened up the Varlamov collection. That's when I opened up the Ovechkin collection. That's when I opened up the Malkin collection. All the PC cards I was sitting on were available now. And I'm not going to lie, the amount of money I pumped into those collections was not the same amount of money I got back. I lost a lot of money. But all told, I made over 4 digits combined. But it was after that last round of sales that I officially retired. Officially. And that lasted up until last year when I actually broke down, went to Tim Hortons, because Tim Hortons was selling the cards now, not McDonald's. Tim Hortons was selling the cards. I started buying some Tim Hortons packs. I thought that would cure the itch. And it did. I didn't buy cards again until last week. But in between, at the time I bought those Tim Hortons to the time I bought the SP Hockey, I was watching a lot of other people on YouTube, on Facebook, doing box breaks, group breaks, case breaks, pack breaks. The itch started coming back. And it wasn't for the last couple months. It started coming back strong and hard. And just to the point where it was undeniable anymore. I had to do something. So I bought a couple rack packs. And that's where I was able to make my first trade in 4 years, was with those rack packs. I have some of those cards on eBay right now, but the idea is, not so much as it should have been then, but the idea is now, if I make anything off those cards, hopefully I can pump them right back into the hobby. And that's where we are now. I'm not nose deep into the hobby again like I was. I'm just merely putting my toes in the water, seeing what's happening. That was episode 14 of Trev's Trade Page here on Trev TV. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Your viewership always means so much to me. Always has, always will. I don't want you to forget that, because I do appreciate when you guys tune in to watch my videos. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you really want, there's a little red button. You know where it is. You know what to do. Keep you up to date with all the content I put out. If you really, really want to, you can find Trev TV on Facebook at Trev's TV. And you can find Trev TV on Instagram at rockstartrev TV. Going forward, we're flying by the seat of our pants right now. We're in off season in hockey, so topics will only be talked about as they come up, really. I mean, division predictions, and that won't be till September, so I'm going to need to do something hockey related to fill that void. But there will be wrestling content as often as it pops up. So either way, in the meantime, and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from Trev. Later.